Hey everybody, this is Ray Stendall, co-author of Path to Riches, and I'm here with Judy Wiliamson from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We're here today to talk about a really important new book, a book you have to know all about. It's called Envisioning Success. This is a beautiful book that really encapsulates Napoleon Hill's 17 success principles in art and word. And I'd like to just share with you a little bit about the book, and then we can get Judy's perspective on why this book is so important. This book essentially bridges together the whole idea of imagery and words in a way that allows you to really associate and recognize the principles in life. So for example, as you go through life, you might recognize imagery which is placed within your subconscious mind. That will get you to start to think about the principle so that you can then begin to apply the principle and get the results that Napoleon Hill has been talking about through all of his books and everything that we share through the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Judy, it's so good to have you here on this interview. How are you?
I'm just fine, Ray, and thanks for actually conducting this interview for us, because without you, we wouldn't be able to get this word out in a visual way, just an audio way, so I appreciate that. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for being part of it, and I'm looking forward to interviewing Michael Telapary in the next segment.
Yes, and I'm here to tell just a little bit about the book as we begin the interview. This book, I'm going to hold it up here, is Michael's book. It's called Envisioning Success, and it's the result of his leader certification project that he began a few years back. And initially, Michael and I talked, and at that time we were working in correctional institutions here at the Napoleon Hill World Learning Center, and we were finding that many of the people, many of the individuals that we served really didn't care to do a lot of reading. And oftentimes if we had a visual image or a picture or worked on a collage, we could begin to get them to open up almost immediately. So when Michael suggested, and I concurred, that we should create a visual image for each of the 17 principles, he said that he would like to make that his leader certification project. And I said, well, that was just way too much to do. And he came back, as typically Michael is, and he said to me, well, whose project is it anyway, mine or yours? And I said, well, it's yours, do it, go ahead. And so he worked on the images for well over a year, and then decided that he would like to put the images into a book so that people did not have to purchase single posters, but they could get the whole book and see all the images. So that's what's in this book. And this book is a tool, an educational tool for visual learners, so that when you look at an image, you can immediately grasp the message, and then you can go a little deeper each time you want to by reading what Napoleon Hill has suggested as one of the principles, and then you can also read Michael's interpretation. So I think it's a blend, and it's a very, very rich book that people will continue to use principle by principle.
So Judy, that sounds wonderful. Can you share what one of your favorite chapters are and one of the images, and maybe in more specific terms share with us how that chapter and that image would help in accelerating the learning of the principle?
Well, I have a lot of the images that are my favorites, but one in particular is the one on applied faith. And I'll just hold it up here. I don't know how well you can see it, but I'll describe it. It's a young woman, and she's walking a tightrope, and she's crossing over a body of water. And if you notice in the image, she doesn't have a balance beam to help her get across. Above her, though, however, is kind of a picture of a guardian angel, but we refer to it as her higher self. And you can see that right here. And as you look at her and you look at the angel, the guardian angel or higher self, you see it's really the same person. So she's really propelling herself across this canyon, this chasm, or whatever you want to call it, to get to the other side. She doesn't see her destination. It's over here somewhere beyond where we are and where she is, but she's making her way there. And this particular image shows us, or it shows me in particular, that if we really feel that we have that backing of a higher self, of our higher idea of who we are, we can make it through any journey in life. And I love that image because it just rings true for me. And there are 16 other images. That may not be your favorite one, but there are other ones that you can look at and be inspired by. It's kind of like looking at a quotation or reading a quotation and say, boy, you know, that really is a call to action for me. And some people can look at these images and say, boy, I just get it. You know, I understand it completely. And so that's part of the beauty of this book. But as you go deeper, you'll, as you indicated, be able to relate this whole concept to implanting these images in your subconscious mind through your autosuggestion. Mm-hmm. And then at the moment that you need it, kind of like a biblical verse, you call it up and it stands there in front of you and you say, I can do that. That's what it does for me.
I love the idea. And, you know, it just kind of got me thinking a little bit about some of the work that Dr. Truman Fleet did in Texas. And he basically came to the conclusion that we think in terms of pictures. And unless we have a picture to associate with something, it's hard for us to relate to it. And in his work, he talked about how do you relate to the mind if there's no picture of the mind, and he went off and created a picture. So here I can see exactly what you're talking about. Through having a picture, in this case of applied faith, we can think of this picture, we can see that we have to maintain that faith as we move forward in the forward direction, realize that we maybe don't have a safety net underneath us, but that higher self, the best version of who we are, is there to keep us in balance, keep us moving the right direction, and not to look back but to look forward. So I can see how that can be applied. That's a great example.
Exactly. And you know, Ray, when you begin to read as a little person, as a youngster, you begin with what kind of books?
Well, picture books, right?
Yeah. So you get those pictures, and then those pictures translate into words, and those words translate into your actions. So we're all beginners in this philosophy of success. And so as we look at these pictures, it's like a young person, maybe 4, 5, 6, learning how to read through association with pictures. And so that's what Michael is doing here. And it's a gift to everybody because it's a quick study. You know, we get it. We get it, how this process works. We just have to use it. And that's true with any of the success principles. They only work if you apply them. Just a little quick story. When these images came out a few years ago, Dr. J.B. Hill saw them at our learning center, and Michael was here at that time with an artistic display for the university. And Dr. Hill asked Michael if he could purchase those copies, and he said, I don't have room on my wall for all 17. But I have 2 young children, and he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up 2 at a time and let them look at those pictures. And he says, by the time they start to use the principles of my grandfather's success system, they will just say they knew it all already. Mm-hmm. In other words, it was kind of internal in them. Really, it wasn't, because he planted it there. But that's how we learn. And I think it's a great way.
So let's expand a little bit more. If you were going to use this as a teacher in your class, how would you go about using it specifically?
Well, I would begin with the pictures, with the images, and I would ask the students, what do they see in each? And then that way, there's no set learning program. They would extract the objectives and the goals because they're already embedded in the picture. And for example, if we were looking at personal initiative, it happens to be a picture of a person in a library reaching up to a higher shelf to get that book that's right at the top of the of the staircase. And I'd say, well, what does that show you? And somebody might say, well, he's persistent. Or look at the clock in the picture. It's after hours and he's working well into the night. Or look at, he's climbing up a staircase and he's not just getting that book on the lowest level. He's reaching for success. And so we'd start to list those things, and pretty soon they would have all of those principles that Napoleon Hill talked about that came out of themselves. So they have ownership for them. And begin to study in that way, rather than reading what Judy wrote or what Ray wrote or what Michael wrote. It would come from inside of them, and then they too would say, well, it's just common sense.
Oh,
it's not so common, you know.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, to take it up a further notch, to really make the ideas really powerful, how can we use autosuggestion with this book to really ingrain these principles in our mind?
Well, there's a concept of, and scientifically I can't explain it, but it's the concept of the hologram, where in a very small little image is embedded the whole big image. And if you look at Michael's pictures, he has a part that's called going deeper, where he takes just a little part of the picture and he has you focus on it in meditation. And he says pretty soon, if you think about what you're doing and you pay attention to how you do it, your mind will create the whole picture. And I've tried it, and I've seen a PowerPoint presentation of his in Ireland when he was there talking about it, and it works, and it's almost magical. And you say, wow, how can you do that? But our mind probably works in that manner, much like a hologram works. So all those little bitty images that are embedded in the big picture, once we focus on just a part of it, the whole is created for us.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
So, Judy, thank you so much for sharing these wonderful ideas about this wonderful book. And I look forward to interviewing Michael in our next segment, and we can get his perspective on the beauty and the power of this book, and also find out about his favorite chapter and image that goes along with it.
And we'll have to get you a book too, so that you could pick one of the images out and say, well, this is my favorite. And I believe none of us will have the same one, because they all speak to us personally. So
I'm sure. I look forward to reading it.
All right. Well, thank you, Ray. I appreciate your help in all these interviews, and you're doing a great job for us, and I am very thankful for it. So thanks for helping us carry the mission and the message of the foundation out into the next generation. I appreciate it.
Happy to be of service. In this segment, I'm joined with Michael Telapary, the author of Envisioning Success. Michael, so pleased to have you on this interview.
Hello. Yes, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to doing some interview with you about my book.
So, Michael, in the last segment, I spoke with Judy, and we really talked about the wonderful benefits of this book and what it is and what it can really offer to the readers. I wanted to kind of get your perspective on why did you write the book, and from your perspective, what's really most important about why this book is special and how it's going to help people?
Well, when I created those artworks, it was like 2 years ago for the Napoleon Hill Foundation, I found out the power of the images and how it can connect to your subconscious mind. Because if we read words, our subconscious mind actually makes images of all the words and the stories. So I thought, well, this is very powerful, because if I give my subconscious mind an image directly, it's going to pick up the whole concept of the story very fast, even faster than if you read. So that was actually the main reason that I thought, well, if I can put that together into one book, all the 17 principles with a little bit of text and all the images, that would be a great way of learning fast through using images for your subconscious mind.
I see. And you know, in terms of where the world is today, we're in a rather challenging position in the world. Why do you feel this book, and particularly in this format, it's very relevant in today's world?
Well, if you look at the new technologies today, like everybody is using the computer, like the iPads and the laptops. So people are watching images over and over, and I see that if people watch on a website, they look at the pictures, and if they like the pictures, they're going to read the text. So if you have a nice picture, you can actually almost force the people to read what's with the picture. So I think my book will help people to read something very important that they would normally maybe not really read so fast.
And as they read and they look at these pictures, they'll have a better idea of understanding the principles. And as I mentioned earlier on when talking with Judy, they'll be able to relate to the principles and apply the principles easier, because now they're thinking in terms of pictures. Wouldn't you agree? That's really the key benefit?
Yes, and well, there's a very special concept in the book, because if you look at the pictures, the first pictures of every principle is like a colored one. So you see all the details, you see all the colors, and that's emotion, because we like colors as human beings. We want to see nice colors. But if you go deeper into the book, I've made from every single artwork a sepia version where the details are like blurred, so you can't even see the details. And then you have a magnifying glass where you can see a spot where what you have to find into the sepia image. So by doing that, you have to go over and go to the colored picture and going back to the sepia, to the magnifying glass. So actually you are using auto suggestion, but then in an advanced mode. So if you can remember the picture, you remember the text that went with the picture, and you remember the principle that is connected to the picture. because we never forget a picture. We can forget words, but we will never forget a picture in our mind.
Mm-hmm. So, Michael, can you share with us one of your favorite images and principles in the books and relate it to us and how the picture really helps us in understanding the principle?
Yeah, actually, the first artwork I made, that's my favorite one, and that's definiteness of purpose, because that's the one that actually brought me to the motivation that I could finish all 17 artworks, and that took more than 8 months. So definiteness of purpose is about navigation in your mind, and if I thought about navigation, I thought, okay, I need a compass, but not a normal compass. So if you look at the picture, you see a universal compass. That means it can point out to east, west, north, south, but also to up, down, and inwards, outwards. So the compass is like a mentally navigation tool. So if you have your definite purpose, and you're like on your path to your definite purpose, and you're like lost, you always have that compass in your mind, and it will direct you to your definite purpose. So it's so actually perfect that you have a mental tool with you that can navigate you to your definite purpose. It's one of my favorite pictures, and also technically how it was made. It was a lot of fun to make it with that 3D software and drawing techniques I had.
And as we talked a little bit before recording, I believe that's the picture right behind you on the monitor. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, that's beautiful. You can see it looks like a sunset there, and it's a really peaceful image.
Yeah, and if you look at in the book, if I explain about, for example, this one, you see the blurred picture, and you can't see really the details, because there's a ship in the background, and the ship, it represents our body that brings ourselves throughout the world to our definite purposes. So if you look at the sepia picture, you only see a blurred dot, and you have to look back. So if you do that a few times, you can recognize the dot. That's a ship. And that's, I think, how the subconscious mind works. It's not very detailed deep inside us, but it knows what it is. So
by looking at these different pictures for these different principles, we'll be able to really relate to the principles better, be able to recognize them, and ultimately be able to apply them. And especially for visual learners, I think this will make it much easier for them to grasp the ideas of the principles, because in each image, from what I understand, it embodies the essential aspects of each principle inside of the image, which makes it very unique. Wonderful. Michael, I understand that you have a very special bonus for those people who decide to take action today and really get this book and secure their copy before it's gone. Can you tell us a little bit about the bonus?
Yes, we have an amazing bonus. Actually, I made a special flash movie from all the artworks, and it is a flash movie where you can click on any image, any principle, and the principle will change colors during a certain time, like 5 minutes or 4 minutes. And during those 5 minutes, you can see 5 questions. So you will ask yourself 5 questions according to the principle. So if you do that, and you also hear beautiful music in the background, so you're using different senses. If you do that one time, and you do it like 1 month or 2 months later, the answers you give to those questions will change, because you're in the process of applying the principles. So actually the flash movie is Target Your Success, that's the name, and Target Your Success is to complete the whole concept of my book, because if you use them like together, it's an awesome way and a new concept of learning fast.
Well, that sounds wonderful. It really sounds complementary, and it's that program, Target Your Success, is currently available on the Napoleon Hill website, and by you bundling this together, really certainly increases the value of the book, not only from a price perspective, but in terms of how the reader will use it to really learn and master these principles. So with that being said, for everyone that's watching this video, I strongly recommend that you take a look below on this page and click Add to Cart. You can see additional information about this book on this page. Add to Cart, invest in your future so that you can have this beautiful book that you can share with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, and really embodies the principles of success as Napoleon Hill has articulated them and has been now interpreted by Michael, and together with the images can really drive home the most important ideas that you need to think about as you move forward to have success in your life and in your business. So go ahead and click on this link now, add it to your cart. You will love the book and you're going to treasure it forever. It's going to be a key part of your library moving forward.